Hey everyone, today we're playing some Valheim. Thought I'd give you a little tour of my boat here with a few little gaming tips as you go. So here's the main household I have here. I actually have an indoor forge and everything because when I built it I didn't have a wall around the place and I was worried about getting smashed. A lot of troll attacks going on. One tip with building is if you make your buildings about 6 spaces wide or 6 grid squares wide, your roof can actually just nest together. If you look at your roof and you go to build and it looks all red when you go to attach another roofing, that means the roof's probably going to fall if you attach something to it. So if you do about 6 wide, well exactly 6 wide, you can build from one wall, assuming the wall is supported, and then you build the other wall 3 up, assuming it's supported, and the net result is a covered roof. You can make it pretty much as long as you want, as long as you have the supporting walls. So, a little tour of the house. Here's my little forge area. Got some chests, some random crap. This is the little cooking abode zone with chests full of things, upgraded workbench. Also a note with the workbench, if you can't fit the upgrade next to it, as long as it's within close enough proximity, you can actually put it on the other side of the wall. Like I have my adze here on the other side of the wall, but it still counts toward the upgrade of the workbench. Same thing goes with the forge. Couldn't fit all my forge stuff here, so I have a little forge house in the back that I do nothing with other than have my forge stuff close enough to my forge. You have to roof everything, otherwise the durability would degrade over time, but as long as you have a roof over it, even if it's a poorly placed roof, like you can literally just have a wall with one little roof square, and it'll protect that wall. Since these are too wide, some of these are too wide, one wide, as long as they're under the roof, they won't degrade over time. They can just get smashed by enemies. So, bedroom. Alright. So I did a lot of sailing in this game, and what I did in my travels is I discovered a place really far to the south. I'll show you my map. So here's the starting area. I did a lot of sailing, and when I got all the way down here, I found a spot called the Ashlands. Before I left for sailing, what I did is I made a portal. You'll see I have a lot of portals. I'm explaining how I got all these. So I had a portal, I just had it named like South or whatever. Anyway, before I left. So when I got somewhere, I had the materials for the portal with me in my boat. I could build a portal in a new area. And then you can take that portal, teleport back, get all the materials you need for other portals, bring it back to the boat with you, and go to the next destination. So I built a little house here, and this place is actually kind of cool because when you're trying to build portals and things, you can't get enough Surtling cores. Well, this is just a land full of Surtlings. They're freaking everywhere. They're all over the place. You can get as many Surtling cores as you want, and it's not an issue. See? Just got some coal and Surtling cores. So this is my little Surtling farm in this random land I found all the way down here. Which allowed me to explore and place portals as I went. I had to kill a lot of greylings, but those guys attack you every time you pound anything with a mining pick, so when you get 5 million of those, yeah, you know, they're not really hard to come by. So, that's a good way to get Surtling cores. Otherwise, you're stuck getting Surtling cores from your skeleton burial ground areas. Or if you're in a swamp area and you see a fire, like an orange fire, there's Surtlings dancing around and you can get some there. Those are your best sources for Surtling cores early on. But if you get this little land, you basically get unlimited Surtling cores, which is pretty handy. Just make sure you have the stuff to portal back and to survive, because there's a lot of them there before you build. Another tip is enemies aren't supposed to spawn near campfires or workbenches. So if you expand out your area of campfires and workbenches, you can keep things from spawning right next to you. Kinda had to do that in that Surtling area because they were just pummeling the house every 2 seconds. If the enemies don't see or hear you though, they typically will leave your stuff alone unless there's a specific attack. But if they spot you, then they'll smash anything they can on their way to get to you. So, outside of the house. So I have 2 portal rooms, as I noted. Going to various places because I like to explore. And for the walls here, I'll show you what I did. This is a little boathouse minus the boat. I sailed it off, and I'll show you where I sailed it off to. So I put little thatch here so you can climb up and down it. If you use the 26 degree, you can walk up it. You can kind of jump up it if you use the 45 degree. And that's because I have stonecutter and a workbench underneath. And I don't want them degrading constantly. Actually, that one has a 4-inch because of the gate. So, built a wall all the way around the perimeter here. And dug a nice moat. I had a troll attack. I pretty much just ignored the trolls. They beat on the gate. It didn't collapse. I did have to repair it when I was done. So I surrounded the whole place with stone. And I have workbenches or stonecutter benches there underneath each of these thatch roofings. And that allows me to place and fix the stone. Got a little indoor garden area. This is an area where I was farming boars, but got attacked and most of them got murdered. So, you know, that happens. Could have done it on the interior to keep them safe, but I haven't done that yet. And sometimes when you get attacked, your stuff just gets destroyed. Like here was a stonecutter area. And it looks like it got destroyed. So every now and then you have to repair them. They'll get hit by something randomly. Okay. Or someone will play with the ground and that'll disturb it underneath, in which case it collapses. So, no need to do that right now. But you get the general idea. My ground was not level when I first placed it. That's the only reason it was down. So. Other thing, raising ground. Tip for that. You always want to over raise it if you're going to level after, because otherwise you get little pits in the ground. But if you raise it up too high, then you go to level it. It goes nice and level usually. The other note is leveling is typically, I don't know exactly how they equate it, but usually it's based on where you're standing is the level you're going to make the ground. Assuming there's no rocks or anything like that in the way. If there are rocks and things in the way, it changes the equation. Certain things can't be leveled, and so on. But it does give you the ability to, for the most part, if you are wherever you're standing is the part that is going to be level with where you're digging. There we go. A little in the wall, but it'll work. Okay. So if I were to stand up higher on this little bump here, for instance, it doesn't always bring the ground up, but it's less likely to be at the level you want. See how it's bumped up a little? But if I stand on the lower part and chisel at it, then it goes to the level you're standing at typically. If you process an area too much, or there's something in the way or whatever, sometimes you get these bumps, you can usually just pickaxe them to go relatively flat with a single hit if they're bumped up. If it's already flat, you'll dig yourself a nice little hole. Okay. So anyway, I had a lot of rocks in this area. I smashed all the rocks and dug a trench and used all the materials to make walls. So this is my central base. And then the other thing with the base, whenever you go out and about, you notice you'll get metal materials and things that can't be teleported. I recommend your base being close to the ocean if you can. Like the actual ocean, not a giant lake. Because you can't teleport. You see this little icon here? You can't teleport iron. You can't teleport iron ore. There are certain things you just can't teleport in the game. And in that case, you have to haul them, usually via boat, ideally via boat, all the way back to your place where you have all your smelting equipment and gear and everything else. You can make another base, which I've definitely done, but you lose a lot of your resources because used them to build something. When you could have it all in one giant area with little outposts. So, for this map, I actually have a giant lake, which originally I thought was the ocean. Turns out it was not. The ocean is over here. You'll notice this lake ends here. The ocean starts here. So I got the idea to make a giant canal. So I'm going to go show you my giant canal. And that requires going to my boathouse teleportal. So you'll see on the map, it's here. I go through. I'm actually just going to be to the southeast of this area here. So I couldn't get any of my metal and stuff. I actually had to land the boat and then haul it while encumbered and drop the stuff until your stamina refills, and then pick it back up and limp all the way back home with all my stuff because I didn't want to rebuild. I had too big of a house to bother rebuilding. So I noticed that this was close to the ocean. So I got my axe ready, and I might have gone a little crazy. So, the original lake, you can see that this is all black forest. I wish I had documented my whole carving of this. I didn't. I'm sorry, I'm terrible. But that's where the lake originally ended, is over there. And I chiseled all this out. My wife helped with it too. She kind of likes playing this game. And got a nice little channel going through here. Now, I did run into some problems. Some of the areas literally just won't go away. They won't level with the hoe, they won't chisel with the mining pick. See how this is just not going anywhere? So unfortunately, since I didn't build right by the ocean to begin with, I can't fit my longboats through there. But the carves do fit. So I have the carves here. I can get them in and out. I can get my longboat all the way up to this side over here, which is nice. And then I just load them into the building, which I have a little loading dock set up. But I'll load them in here. I smooth this out so if I'm encumbered with a bunch of metal, I can still walk on flat ground. And get it up here, and then you're in the building, and I can drop it on these chests. Interesting note with the chest. Normal chest, you have not that many spaces. Reinforced chest has a lot of room in it. So this is where I dump all my stuff when I'm out journeying, and I come back and I just dump it all. That just takes a couple pieces of iron and some fine wood to make the reinforced chest. Well worth the resources, in my opinion. So, anyway, I can offload my stuff there, and then take the carve back to the main base, or just build more here. I'm kind of halfway between converting this to a main base. But I did build a nice canal, and these smaller ships go through it just fine, which is pretty cool. And this will take me all the way out to the ocean. I built little tiny houses, I'll call them. Smaller houses on the sides. Honestly, I got some time off work, so I kind of went crazy with these buildings. So, I built them over there because monsters were coming up and attacking the boats while I had them moored there in my little canal. And I didn't like that. So, since the monsters won't spawn near your workbenches, or your fires, I just built a little building on that side to surround a workbench and fire. And I put walls around so that the monsters can't see the boats from up there and throw rocks at them. And that usually keeps your boat safe. I haven't had one smashed since I did that. But as you can see, this goes all the way out to the ocean, which it didn't before. So now I can get back to my main base. And like I said, I like to bring materials with me to make a portal. That way I don't have to worry about, I'm going into the wind. That's another thing. If you're going into the wind, you can do one notch of movement on the boat, and you'll move. It's not super fast. But if you have your sails out and you're going against the wind, it'll push backward against you, so you won't So you're better off doing 1 notch of speed, which clicks up with the up arrow, up, down, down, just 1 click if you don't hold it. 1 notch is slower, but it doesn't matter what the wind's doing, whereas this puts your sails down, and then the wind matters. The little orange circle on the right shows you how to catch the wind. If it's in the orange circle, you're catching wind. It will make you drift a little bit if you're kind of against the wind like this, but you'll still go forward. Now I'm against the wind and it's not in my sail, so it's actually going to slow me down. So switch to the 1 notch speed and move along. You can also 1 notch in reverse, useful to have because sometimes you get your boat stuck. And that's kind of the way to do it. So I'm done with my adventures. I just drive my longship up here, get it up to my base, and then I'll limp all my gear out into the building or into another boat. And the boats are, like I said, relatively safe in this canal because I built on both sides to kind of block the monsters from seeing the boat. If they don't see it, they don't care about it. And if you have a fire and a workbench over there, then they don't spawn right next to it. So they have to kind of angle around to see it before they'll attack it. Since there's a workbench in range, that wood has not despawned ever. If you want something to despawn, you can leave it a couple of game days out in the wilderness, or huck it into the ocean, since there's not really a good way to get rid of items. Scrapes a little here, but it does get through. Unfortunately, those things won't come up. I don't know, must be a game bug. I dug too deep. Anyway, rather than cruising all the way across the lake, I just want to show you that. And this little panel we have here. All the goodies. And going upstairs here. And we can take the portal back to the house. Get some workbenches and stuff in this one. The other thing you can do when you're planting plants, I didn't go through the garden. When you're planting plants, you get a, in order to do that, you need to get a cultivator. A cultivator is an item you can create. So if you look, you can see that you need to make bronze, you need copper and tin. Just like the real world. And I'll show you the cultivator, which I believe is made on the workbench. Cultivator is nice because it makes a big difference with your food intake. Alright, clearly not under the workbench. There it is. Okay, so this takes core wood. You can get that from pine trees. And then your fine wood you'll get from your beech trees. And your standard wood you get from birch trees. You can get a mix of all the different things within all those trees. Except for the beech trees, which are just standard wood. So pine trees are your big thing, and they'll get you some core wood. Some bronze, you make with tin and copper. You get your tin and copper by killing the first boss. That's your biggest gear obstacle there. You kill the first boss, which is the big deer guy, and he gives you a deer antler, which is this little thing right here, hard antler. Once you get the hard antler, you can build an actual mining pick. And so your mining pick will let you get the antler pickaxe here, some wood and a hard antler. Will let you mine tin and copper. Copper comes in gigantic green blocks for the most part. They look like large boulders that are very wide. And your tin will just be little shiny things, usually near water. And then you use that to make your bronze. So you can make your bronze use your bronze to make all the good stuff. Once you get the bronze stuff, then your next step will be iron. And iron is a little harder to come by. You actually have to get these little iron scraps. So for iron, you have to kill the next boss, and you get a swamp key. And then when you get a swamp key, you can use it to do skeletal things out in the swamp area. Not all swamps have them, but you're gonna look for, what is it, Sunken Crypt, I believe it's called. And you can use your swamp key on the Sunken Crypt, and then you can get iron in there. Some of the mobs in the area will drop iron scraps, but for the most part, you get them out of the Sunken Crypts. And that's how you get your iron. And then your next step after iron is silver. Again, next boss. So each metal you kill a boss. After you kill the next boss, you get this wishbone thing. It beeps at you when you are close to something, and it beeps faster the closer you are. So you kind of have the canvas an area in the mountains specifically, and that gives you silver. It'll be underground, and you dig where it is and find the silver. Silver gives you the next upgrade of stuff, and I haven't found the following upgrade because I can't find this stinking dragon in the mountains yet that I have to kill for my next part. So, anyway. So I hope you liked the tour of the house, the crazy canal that I overdid, and hope you enjoy the video. Thanks, and have a good day, guys.